Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Dill, a massive Big 12 matchup. Coach Prime, the Colorado Buffaloes coming off a bye, going on the road to Lubbock, Texas to play a Texas Tech team that just knocked off top 10 Iowa State. Not enough people are going to be talking about this football game going into Saturday. Legitimate college football playoff implications on the line where you look at the landscape of the Big 12. Everybody was taking Utah and Oklahoma State and Arizona. We fast forward to early November. You look at two of the teams that are contending for a Big 12 championship berth, Colorado and Texas Tech. I'm fired up to get into this one. This Colorado team, I feel like a lot of national media talk shows haven't watched this Colorado team since week 2 against Nebraska. It is a significantly better team that just keeps getting better every single week. And then you look at Texas Tech, it's about as dangerous as they come. They run fast on offense. They can put up a lot of points. I'm really excited for this one. Now, before we get into it, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. It truly has been a blast for the boys to do these preview prediction episodes. The amount of support y'all continue to show, it means the absolute world. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Let it fly in the comment section, Dill. Without further ado, I want to get into what I think is probably the biggest storyline that we'll see in this football game. You could take away the scoreboard for me at the end of the game and show me this one particular stat, and I'll probably tell you who won the football game. That is the yards after the catch for this Colorado offense. This is something they've historically done very well. We all know what Colorado wants to do on offense. They go 4 wide receiver sets. They got 4 legitimate NFL dudes on the outside along with Shadur at quarterback. And they want to make you defend every single blade of grass on the football field and get the football to their playmakers in space. And one of the things that I don't think Shadur gets enough credit for, like he gets a lot of credit for a lot of different things. This is something that when you watch him play elite at, being a wide receiver friendly quarterback, the key is consistently hitting his wide receivers in stride, leading them to open grass, and allowing guys like Travis Hunter, Jimmy Horner, LaJohntay Wester to have the football and have the opportunity to get after it after the catch. Why I think this is the biggest storyline is because Colorado's damn good at it. They got dudes who can do it. And you look at Texas Tech, they've given up over 1,500 yards after the catch. They really struggle in the secondary to tackle. This Texas Tech defense as a whole has missed 127 tackles on the year. Dill, heading into this one, you got to think Colorado is trying to get the football to their playmakers in space, let them operate after the catch against the Texas Tech secondary that has struggled to tackle in space all year.
When you talk about creating space, I think the fact that Colorado's offensive line has really started to play at a pretty high level at this point has allowed them to open up that playbook and essentially, I think, prevent teams from getting their safeties down to just deal with screens and some of that other more quick game stuff that Colorado at times has had to go to just because their offensive line hasn't held up. So when they have the whole playbook open to them, and they've had it open to them for pretty much this whole year, aside from probably that North Dakota State in
Nebraska game, but ever since that Nebraska game, I guess sorry to interrupt you, but the offensive line has just been different. Like Jordan Seaton at the left tackle spot looked like a true freshman against Nebraska. Ever since that game, has been one of the best tackles in the Big 12. They made some adjustments on the other spots of the offensive line. It's worked in a big way. And I think the second thing, and you kind of noted this, Dill, that they're starting to run the football. And look, we're not going to get up here and bang the table for Colorado to be a run-first offense when you have Shadur and 4, NFL caliber wide receivers. But why do you run the football? You run the football so you prevent defenses from pinning the ears back and just getting after the quarterback. They've done that, taking some pressure off this offensive line. At the end of the day, if you're Colorado and you can protect Shedeur Sanders, good things are going to happen for you on the offensive side of the football.
Because you said, again, if they can get the ball down the field, I think it just makes it harder for teams to be able to crunch down on them and just take away the space. So again, when they have the full playbook open, they're really, really, really dynamic. And also if they're not playing from behind the chains really in a bad way, because we've certainly seen some games get off the rails for them by just being in 2nd and 30 or 2nd and 20 in those really kind of odd, terrible.
They took so many sacks, so many holding calls last year. It's just so hard to operate consistently on offense. They're just not doing that. And you look at that matchup and say that's one of the things that Texas Tech has really struggled to do. And they're only sacking the quarterback 3.7% of dropbacks. That's 122nd in the country. And so if you can't get pressure and impact Shadur Sanders, it's going to be normally a long day for you on the defensive side of the football.
Not
That's
to
kind of the
me, Ben Roberts and Rodriguez, they need to have big games because those two
yes,
are the guys who I feel like are the impact guys. I feel like when they can get after the quarterback, they do a pretty good job because you're right. Their front four don't rush the pass at a particularly high level. I do think that
yeah,
linebacker duo is really, really good, probably a little bit underrated. So again, what those guys can do in terms of controlling the middle of the field,
yeah.
maybe trying to prevent like again, some of those plays that should go for 5 yards go into
Eh,
50. If those guys can do a good job of that and then get into the backfield and make some plays behind the line of scrimmage, that to me is Texas Tech's avenue. Because you look, I just don't know that. I don't love the matchup against the secondary. I think Lux is a good player, but I don't love the rest of that unit. I think those two linebackers, they are the engine. They both need to have dominant
In
games, creating
in
negative
line,
plays and
yeah,
tackling.
linebacker play is so important when you're playing Colorado because they're going to give you that four wide receiver set, not play with the tight end very often, and you find these linebackers like trying to work with a guy like Jimmy Horn in space, and it's barbecue chicken for any linebacker across the country. Kind of interested to see how Texas Tech deals with just a funky personnel grouping. And what I love most about it is they're just saying, hey, we're going to lean into our strength. Like we have four wide receivers that we don't want to take off the football field very often. So, I wouldn't say screw a tight end, but like we'll use a tight end at times, but we're not going to force ourselves to play a tight end when we have four legitimate dudes we want to leave on the football field. Uh, it's a blast to watch this Colorado offense. It's going to be a really fun matchup on that side of the football. Dill, let's get to this Texas Tech offense that is, kind of equally as fun. And it starts with Taj Brooks. And Taj Brooks is not, he ain't going to be a running back that's going to, carry the football for 50 yards and a touchdown. He's not the most explosive running back. I don't think he has a carry that's over 50 yards on the season. But what I love about this kid, he's a muscle hamster. He makes people miss. He bounces off tackles. He's so hard to bring down. The contact balance is so elite. And he just keeps this Texas Tech offense on schedule. Dill, this is where it starts for Colorado, who's been remarkably better, much better against the run than they were in 2023. If you can stop Taj Brooks, which is no easy task, it kind of puts a wrench a little bit in this Texas Tech offense in general because they love to go to that RPO. They like to go to play action. If you can create some negative plays and kind of force this Texas Tech team to just go to that drop back passing attack, that's not where Baron Morton is extremely comfortable at the quarterback spot. So I think the biggest storyline here is, can Colorado win on first and second down, tackling Taj Brooks, create some negative plays, and get Texas Tech into that third and long situation where they're just not as comfortable operating out of?
You know who have to play good is the defensive ends for Colorado, and I think that's been another unit that's really up their game. I
Oh
think
yeah,
obviously the defensive tackle play is probably the biggest difference. I mean, just their ability to hold up against doubles and keep those linebackers free. I know we talk about a lot about Nikai Hill Green and some of the backers, but like
dog.
they're helped a lot by those defensive tackles who are just playing better. But you look at the way Tosh Brooks likes to run, he bounces out
Yeah.
about as good as anyone else. I mean, his ability to get to the boundary, kind of run it up, bounce it. I mean, it's really, really good. It's really impressive. So again, you look at guys like Okinola and Hayes, like can they be disciplined football players? Can they not have their eyes and crash down and avoid
Well,
the
they've had a plethora of guys, even with Hayes going out with the injury. BJ Green's been really good. Okunlola is probably the best run defender from that edge position, and so that's what impresses me the most about Colorado is like Dan Hayes was the guy that we thought would probably be the best edge rusher on this Colorado defense. He goes out with an injury. The difference between this Colorado team from 2023 to 2024, they got depth. Like, okay, now you're putting in Samuel Okunlola, who was a all ACC caliber guy last year at Pitt. And you mentioned it, Nikai Hill Green starting to play better because he got a better defensive line in front of him. Now the passing attack kind of similar to Colorado. It's not four wide receivers, it's three wide receivers. Josh Kelly, who works out of the slot, Coy Eakin, and Caleb Douglas, all difference makers that can do some different things. Baron Morton can kind of distribute kind of all around the football field. Kind of the same conversation that we had with Colorado's offense, I think applies for Texas Tech. They look to count numbers. If you give them a light box, they'll run it. If you give them a heavy box, we're going to get it out to the perimeter. And then it comes to, hey, can we tackle in space, which Colorado has done a phenomenal job doing this year. I mean, last year with like Kermani McLean out there, they're barbecue chicken. Kermani McLean didn't tackle a thing. Now they're tackling much better in space. I'm The 20%, this is one, I guess I'll add this one last stat. 20% of dropbacks are screen passes for Texas Tech. Like they just like to kind of test you in space, and then they'll take some deep shots and kind of mix some deep shots in there. Dill, let's get to the pick here. Colorado, Texas Tech. Colorado on the road. Very hard place to play in Lubbock, Texas. 3-point favorites. Who you got there?
I'll probably take Colorado. And I was sold after that Cincinnati game. Like, I was
Yeah,
probably one of those holdovers, like, oh, I saw that
you were.
Nebraska game. Like, are they that much different from what they were last year? Where, again, you always saw the flashes of brilliance. You obviously had the wide receiver quarterback tandem, but it didn't feel like had much else, especially in the offensive line. I mean, you look, they controlled that game on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and that's a pretty good Cincinnati team. It's not like they were coming in as like a 2-6 team. Cincinnati had been playing pretty good ball. So for them to control that line of scrimmage on both sides, very, very impressed. And if they play that way and they're up to that level on those areas, I mean, we know that their skill guys are just better than anyone else in the Big 12, and I don't even
Yeah,
think it's close.
I'm taking Colorado too, and it comes down to if you can't rush the passer and tackle in space, you're going to struggle against this Colorado offense. And you look at Texas Tech; they struggle to rush the passer, they struggle to tackle in space. So it's not a good matchup for Colorado. And Colorado protecting the quarterback, if you can do that, they're going to have a good day on offense. I'll take Colorado to cover the 3 points, but I'm also going to throw this in, Dell. That over under at 62.5 seems low. Like I feel like Colorado's going to put up some points. We know Texas Tech can put up some points. Kind of like the over 2. I'll take Colorado in the 3 points. We'll sign out. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with it. It's been a blast doing these. The amount of support y'all continue to show means the world. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later.